Hi, I'm Sheila Alheit, world-class astrologer, tarot master, spellcaster, medium, and all-around magical being, and I'm here today to talk to you about this week's astrology. So, this week is a pretty busy week. It's very active in many ways, and certainly astrologically. So we start out with Monday. Monday begins with what is a square, what we call a square to the planet Saturn. And what is square Saturn? The planet Mars. Mars is how we get things done, how we take action. Mars is in a hurry. Mars is aggressive. Saturn is conservative and wants to take its time and wants to process everything one at a time, slowly and thoroughly. Well, you could see how Mars, wanting to be in a hurry, and Saturn, wanting to take its time, could wind up squaring each other. A square is a frictional aspect. A square is also a karmic aspect. It tells us that we need to learn how to express both parts of that aspect in a way that honors both and that gets the job done. So, one of two things can happen with Mars square Saturn. One, frustration and power struggles. That's one of the things. Those things are likely to occur if you let your ego vote. That is, you give your ego a vote. Or two, you can successfully build on a solid foundation if you stay centered, focused, and you listen to your intuition instead of your ego. Mars square anything. Squares are not bad or evil. They're not even really difficult. A square is about harnessing your energy to the thing that works as opposed to harnessing your ego and trying to make something work whether it does or not. And squares teach us to cooperate with ourselves, with the world, with the elements. And when Mars, how we get things done, squares Saturn, which is structure and discipline, then the message there is hitch that horse, Mars, to a wagon that is well equipped to get things, to carry a lot, to get a lot done, and the two of them can work together. Wednesday, we have the planet Mercury, how we gather and process information, how we communicate. And it is opposition. There's Mercury, opposition, the planet Uranus. Uranus is the planet of genius. It is the planet of the big surprise. We never know what's going to happen with Uranus. Uranus is the planet of divine insight. It's also the planet of people who have like interests. Sometimes we call those friends. Sometimes we call those fellow hobbyists or workmates. So Mercury opposition Uranus, all manner of surprises, anxieties, and misunderstandings can occur. Patience and calmness are your friends. So drink chamomile tea, meditate, go for long walks in nature. Just stay calm. When you think you can't stand it anymore and you've absolutely got to make it happen right now, breathe. Because it absolutely can't happen right now the way you want. If you breathe through it, you'll arrive at a sense of calmness. And, surprise, the thing you've been really itching to get done gets done without your bringing on loads of anxiety. Then we also have, on Wednesday, Venus, the planet of self-value, the planet of balance and relationship, planet of harmony, the planet of gifts and money, and we have Venus making a square to the moon's north and south nodes. The nodes are not planets, but they are important, very important points in the chart and in the heavens. So squares to the moon's nodes are always linked to karmic situations and events. Keep that in mind. Always, squares to the moon's nodes are always linked to karma. So please be mindful of dwelling on issues and people from the past. They're in the past for a reason. Leave them there. So don't go back and think, I'll just go over that one more time. It'll be tempting, but leave the past in the past. Also, self-acceptance, Venus, and self-forgiveness, also Venus and the moon. Self-acceptance and self-forgiveness are your assignment when Venus squares the moon's nodes. Let lifetimes of karmic pain and guilt go, please. It's not doing you any good. It's weighing you down. And you still, karmically, have to deal with letting go anyway. The Wednesday's aspect of Venus square the moon's nodes is there to give you a really strong helping hand in letting go. This is a great time for self-care and self-value. So get a massage, get a manicure, get a pedicure. Treat yourself well. This is important. And please be mindful of overspending. You don't really, Venus rules gifts, and it also is one of the rulers of money. So you really don't need to let that kind of mood, because the moon's nodes have a lot to do with our feelings, you don't want to let those moods dictate how you carry yourself through the world. They're there to tell you what needs to be done. Do those things, but don't weigh yourself down with debt, which Venus and the moon's nodes can push you into doing because you're trying to fill an emotional void. Thursday, we have Mercury, again, the planet that gathers and processes information, the planet of communication, making a trine to Neptune. A trine, like a triangle, harmonious, beneficial aspect to the planet Neptune. Neptune is the planet of haze, of spirituality, of imagination, of illusion, of creativity, of deception. It's a lot of things, but they're all things you can't quite see, can't quite get a handle on, all things that are hidden by the fog and that sort of waft by. So when you have Mercury trine Neptune, your intuition, your creativity, and your imagination are strong. You can write, especially if you've got a science fiction or a fantasy novel in mind or story in mind, write. And if you're not an author, if you write, you're probably an author, especially if you write things that are stories. If you write something that people can see and read and get something important from, then you're a writer. So write something, write out these fantasies, write out these ideas. They're the illusions. An illusion isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just how you choose to use illusion. So today is the day to art, and we're going to use that as a verb. Do something creative. Use that energy, that Mercury trine Neptune energy, to bring something into being. Today is not the day to make important decisions, though, because your emotions are stronger than your ability to process information clearly. So Thursday, let Thursday just be a great day to just do, to simply be. Also on Thursday, the planet Mercury, again, the gatherer and processor of information, leaves the sign Scorpio, the intensity of Scorpio, and enters free-flowing Sagittarius. So I'm going to be very, very specific here. Freedom, especially freedom to express yourself, is very important to you when Mercury is in Sagittarius. So is finding out the truth in any situation. However, waxing philosophical and searching for higher meaning without acknowledging the details and the finer points of what's captured your attention can lead to embarrassing foot-in-the-mouth syndrome. You know, when you shouldn't have said that, but boy, you did, and oops. Think before you speak. That's really it. Think before you speak and ask yourself, is what I'm about to say or what I want to say really necessary. And probably a good 90% of the time, it isn't. So be aware that you can either keep that emotion around you moving beautifully, or you can start blocking not only emotion, but the good flow of energy by just ignoring it and throwing caution to the winds. Not a good thing. Sunday, we have Mars, the planet of how we take action. Remember, we started with Mars. Mars, how we take action, square Neptune. So we've heard of Mars before this week and Neptune before this week. So when Mars wants to go now and fast. And it basically wants to go in a straight line most of the time. Neptune wants to flow and waft about, and it doesn't really have a specific direction. So now Mars squared Neptune. So the best thing to do is measure twice, cut once. That's what this aspect is. Before you take any action, please check and recheck your information, your sources, please. With this aspect of Mars square Neptune, what you see, think, and or know may not be what is or what's real. Maybe it was real yesterday. Maybe you'll discover it's real tomorrow. But right now, maybe not. Check everything more than once. And please be careful when using sharp instruments and tools with moving parts, because Mars cuts things. And Neptune, you're just not paying enough attention, and you don't want the thing that gets cut to be you. Also on Sunday, Mars, how we get things done, the planet of action, leaves the sign of Sagittarius all over the place and enters the sign Capricorn. Mars works really well in the sign Capricorn. This is a great time to get things done. It is a great time because this is practicality, simplistic actions really rate, they count. So it's important for you to understand that you must apply practical way of thinking or approaching anything, and structure is important, and success will be guaranteed. Also, taking your time. With Mars enters Capricorn, it's not about winning the foot race. And it really is, Mars in Capricorn really is something that comes along and says, no, we're in it for, it's a marathon. We're not in it to make the sprint. We're in it to keep going until we get there. So that's it for this week. Have a great week. We're moving towards the end of the year. Wow. And really enjoy this week. And again, a reminder, next Saturday on December 13th from noon to 2:30 is my annual Tarot Summit. And during that annual Tarot Summit, I discuss the coming year's astrological chart, what we need to be aware of and watch out for. I discuss the numerology of the time. And this is an especially important thing to talk about because we're ending a cycle. 2025 is a 9-year. And we're beginning a new cycle. 2026 is a 1-year. So it's really important to find out how to take advantage of all that great energy. And, of course, there will be tarot cards involved with your tarot teachers for this coming year. And, as always, I love to give a gift. So there will be a gift for everyone who attends. Call Crystal Essence in Great Barrington to register, and that's 413-528-2595, or email them at crystalessence.com and register that way. So until Saturday, when I'll see you at the Tarot Summit, bye.